In with Max and Brent, unlocking the minds of the industry's top real estate professionals. And now, here are your hosts, Max Rabin and Brent Jackson.
Welcome to the Keyed In podcast. I am your host, Brent Jackson.
And I am Mattia Fuso.
Max is on, not vacation, but a lot of our firm is at the G&E in Vegas. That's the global networking event. I think we had 62 of our agents. So Mattia and I are holding the fort down both for our colleagues and here at the podcast. So kudos to those guys that are out and about in Las Vegas making connections and bringing back some good treats for us. Which today we're going to visit with Deven Lee. Deven is from South Carolina. She moved to Washington, D.C. after graduating from the University of South Carolina with a degree in communications. Both her parents are practicing real estate for over 60 years, so she acquired a keen interest in the profession very early on, naturally, which is where we came to know Deven. She was at our firm for a short bit, Sotheby's International Realty in Washington, D.C., before relocating back to South Carolina. So with that, Deven, we want to welcome you to the show. Glad you're here.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Hi, Deven. How are you?
Hey, hi. I miss you, Mattia.
I know. It's so good to see you. I feel like it's been several years probably, right? I mean, I don't know. Everything is sort of a blur in the past few years with the pandemic. I don't even know what year it is right now, honestly. So tell us just a little bit, the story, how you came into real estate, the beginnings, what, that brought you to where you are today.
Okay, sure. So for those of you who haven't seen my About Me video, I hope all of you have by the end of this podcast. Real estate is not just my passion, it's in my DNA. That's what I say in the video. Both my parents are realtors and have been for almost 40 years each. So I originally was selling in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, but moved back to South Carolina and was thinking I would just have a few months here, kind of when everybody was figuring everything out during COVID, to chill at the beach with my family. But I had always had my South Carolina real estate license because when both of your parents are realtors, that's what they think is a good graduation gift from college is for me to get my real estate license. So I'd always had it. So I decided to make that active again whenever I was here for COVID and started working for a national builder. And then I worked my way back into general brokerage in South Carolina.
So rewinding a little bit, you graduated with a communications degree and then moved to Washington. Like, what was your plan there?
So I really didn't have a big plan. I graduated in 2013 in May, and I knew I had my real estate license or I was about to get it, but I knew that really didn't mean anything at the time. I wanted to leave South Carolina just because that's what you want to do when you graduate. You want to get away from your family, I guess. So I applied for one job, and that was a job as a flight attendant, and I was based out of Reagan. So that is originally what brought me to DC. And while I was in DC as a flight attendant, first I got my Virginia license, then I got my DC, then I got Maryland.
So real estate was always in the background, just a matter of like when you were going to roll out.
Yes, exactly. And also, like most young people, my parents thought I'd be a great realtor, so I pushed as hard as I could against that.
Which airline were you with? Just curious.
So I was hired with US Airways, and then they merged with American. So now American, but it was US Air at the time.
Okay.
So you're in DC and you decided to shift to real estate. What happened? What's your first job in real estate here in the city or in Virginia and Maryland? And what led to that?
My first job was with Long and Foster. I was with a ton of different teams. Actually, it's kind of funny to think about. I have all my old business cards, and I think one day I'm going to frame them in like a huge case or something. But my first job was actually with Allie Gillette. She's still selling real estate. She's with Long and Foster in the Kingstown, Alexandria office. From there, I ended up going to, I was working at Pulte. I was selling at Potomac Yard. I met a few people with Sotheby's. I was working with Sotheby's. The agent that I was with at Sotheby's moved to Compass. I really wanted to stay with Sotheby's, so I found a way to get back with Sotheby's. And then that's around the time when I moved back to South Carolina.
That's an impressive amount of firms in a very short time.
Isn't it?
Congratulations. You get a badge, you get a star for that. So from Long & Foster to, what you said?
Pulte
Yes.
to Sotheby's. So that is like just, I'm sure you learned so much. So were you just strictly an agent for each firm, or were you doing different things? What were you doing exactly?
So when I started, I really wanted to be on a team because I wanted the support, and I just wanted to focus on what my strengths were. So I started as kind of like an adjunct. I was a realtor. I was a realtor on a team. So I was doing, I was like a buyer's agent, but I was also doing marketing, and I was also an assistant. So pretty much the first few realtors that I worked with, however they needed me in that space, I was just kind of trying to learn as much as I could and doing whatever they needed me to do.
What took you to new construction with Pulte?
That was kind of a leap of faith because that's when I had to quit being a flight attendant. So I just told myself, look, if I'm really serious about getting into real estate, I can't really do this part-time. I can't be, I'll never forget, I had landed in Arizona and I had a deal, and there were some people that really needed hand holding, and I'd been on that entire flight and I didn't have cell phone service. And when I landed, I thought someone died. I had so many voicemails, they're freaking out, and it was over something like their
dishwasher not working.
It was like earnest money. It was like, and I'm like, so that's when I decided, okay, I need to have a job that really takes me 100% into the real estate world instead of being part-time. And that was with Pulte. Plus, at the time, I was living in Potomac Yard, and I thought it was a great opportunity.
Would you go back to new construction sales only?
So it's funny, when I moved back to South Carolina, I never really grew up here, so I went to middle school and high school in Orlando. So when I came back, it's not like I knew Myrtle Beach because my parents lived here, but I didn't know it well enough, I thought, to be jumping into general brokerage. So when I was back in 2020, I started working with the national builder. So at that point, when it's good, it's good, and I tell people that are brand new to the business, that is a great place for them to start here. These people that are working out of the models, they're not as high price points as there are in Virginia. So you're cranking out, I don't know, anywhere from like 10 to 14 of these $200,000 sales a month, and they're coming right to you. So I definitely think it's a good gig for some people. But now that I've kind of gotten into my zone here, I would not go back to that personally.
Real quick, you said $200,000. Like, what does that get you in Myrtle Beach, new construction?
God, it probably gets you around like a 2,000 square foot, 3-bedroom home. Not 200 now, and not really in like Myrtle Beach, but there are some up and coming areas, I'd say within 30 minutes of the beach, which people here think that 30 minutes is a long drive. I kind of get a little spoiled now that I'm back versus being up in Virginia and DC, 30 minutes. I wouldn't think twice about getting in the car 30 minutes to drive somewhere or for a commute from work. But really, I listed a 3-bedroom condo on the golf course yesterday, and that's a little under $320,000. So it depends, but I'd say, I don't know, in the 200 to 300s, you can definitely get, a condo, not maybe the nicest condo, but you can get a condo, a 2-bedroom.
And is that water view? No. Ish, from afar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like
there's water somewhere.
Yeah.
There's a pond, a creek, or a waterway. But it seems like that's every coastal city, right? You can go 30 minutes on the East Coast. If you're 30 minutes west of the ocean, it's going to get cheaper and cheaper by the block. And I know that traffic, as I lived there not a few years, I guess summers, and we spent all of our summers like all the way back to like first grade at Myrtle Beach. Was it the 501? Like, I think it's a 501, like coming in
Yeah.
from that direction. It would literally take you like an hour and a half, 2 hours if you're at Conway or whatever, trying to get back into Myrtle Beach.
Yes. Yeah, I'm actually trying to get some buyers from this show, Brent. So please don't talk about the traffic anymore. I would rather let's talk about the sunshine. No.
Yeah, sunshine and the ocean.
Well, I looked at the weather. Is it like 70s there right now?
Oh my God.
I just looked. It was like high 60s or low 70s, like 72. I thought that's amazing.
To put it like this, Tia, you would look tan, you would look bronzed and beautiful all year long. If you look.
This is a potentially tempting investment for me. I'll have to keep that in mind. So do you think, so it seems to me, similarly to me, you did several different things when you started in real estate. You know, there's different school of thoughts on how one should get into real estate, and many just get their license and, you know, they start selling real estate, or they have a family, or they have connections that just gets them right into sales. It seems to me like you did both. You did that, but also you served, you know, you did transactions, marketing, all these other things that I feel was so beneficial to me when I started, because it gave me a total wealth of knowledge and information that then I was able to transfer into clients now. Do you agree with that? Do you think that doing those sort of annoying tasks, or, you know, DocuSign contracts, flyers and whatnot, ultimately made you a better agent?
100%. And I've worked for agents who were incredibly meticulous, and it helps me be meticulous today. And it also helps me learn the roles now that I have reached a certain level to where I can pass on tasks to other people. I understand, I think, you know, there's so many agents that, you know, got used to having the full marketing team at Compass that was cranking out the postcards or whatever it may be. So I try to give a little grace to people if I'm bringing them like a magazine publication that they've never made before, and I want them to make one for me. I know it's not going to be done the next day because I've worn the marketing hat before, or, you know, whatever the case may be. I'm very grateful that I had those different roles. Like you said, I think it really helps me to get where I am today.
So where are you today? Like you mentioned, you did in 2020, you worked for a national builder at Myrtle Beach. Are you on your own? What firm are you working for? Share with our listeners.
Yeah, so it was really a God thing. The person who I work with now, so Jason Green and I are the Jason Green team. Jason Green worked with my dad for Pulte Centex back when I was in elementary school. They sold a community down here called Barefoot Resort. And Jason and my dad worked together before we moved to Florida. And when I was with D.R. Horton, the national home builder, in 2020, I was with them and I was having a really good run with them, and I knew that the money was there and it was easy, really. I mean, it was an easier job because people were coming to you. And one day my dad got a call from Jason, and he said, hey, up until that point, he had been a one-man band. So he called my dad and said, hey, I'm thinking about growing my team. Do you think Deven would be interested in talking to me? So we got together, and like I said, it's funny because I knew him when I was 10. So to see him as an adult, and we get along so well, and we are the top selling team in the Dunes area, one of the top teams in the Grand Strands. So I'm very proud of that, and I'm happy that the universe kind of brought me back to being with, you know, such a successful group in Myrtle Beach, where I was born.
I think I saw 2022, you both did over 60 million. Is that right?
Yes.
So and that's just you two. I mean, you and him, and then do you have some admin staff to help you with that?
So we do have our office manager. So that's one thing that I never want to do is input my own listings, that type of thing, you know. So they do that type of stuff for us. And it works really well because it's just Jason and I. I mean, eventually we probably will grow the team. We would like to do that. And I understand that it's probably going to be, I mean, the number 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. are not, or might not be the best or the best fit, like how Jason and I are. And it's probably a leap of faith. I mean, Brent probably, you know how that goes. But right now it's just the two of us, and I really enjoy it because someone will call Jason and say, hey, we really want to sell our home in Grand Dunes, but we need to find a new place in, I don't know, Briarcliff Acres. So I will take them. I will find something for them in Briarcliff Acres, and then they'll sell their house with us in Grand Dunes. So we work that way.
Who does all of your marketing and like operations? So marketing, doing the flyers, the brochures, and then the operations, meaning photographer. I think I've seen drone shots with you guys, all of that jazz.
So we have a videographer, we have a photographer, we have a marketing team here at our office, and they do all of that stuff for us.
That's good.
Yeah.
So it allows you guys to be out in front of individuals, right? I mean, that's what I always told our team. It's like, you're paid to be in front of people. If you're at the desk, if you're doing stuff that has to get done, contracts, flyers, brochures, you just mentioned MLS description. People don't like doing that, but that stuff has to get done on the back end, but it's not paying us dollars. Like that stuff that's already been somewhat accounted for in dollar wise.
Exactly. So I try, sometimes I'll admit I get caught up in really wanting that perfect Instagram post or video or whatever, but it's not an income producing activity. So that's something that I do have to always keep top of mind. It's like it might be more fun for me to put together a newsletter, but I don't do that anymore, because if I'm dividing the time that it took for me to make that newsletter by the money that I'm making, it doesn't make any sense. So I definitely try to offload those tasks as much as I can. And I also try to find people that are passionate about it. Like when I found the guy that does our videos, I like doing that type of stuff, but he lives for it. It's kind of like if I have an ISA, I want them to live for that role versus me trying to be like a pseudo ISA realtor figure type.
So you mentioned a word that two words together that I like: income producing. What are your income producing activity on a day-to-day basis? So you have people doing your newsletter, your marketing, those sort of admin stuff. What do you do daily to seek the next deal or to find the next deal?
So my mornings are really important to me, and I feel like when I was younger, I tried to fight it and say, maybe I'm just not a morning person, but you have to be. I truly feel you have to be a morning person. You have to, you have to get started early to have a successful day. My dad says the morning is the rudder of your day, and I totally believe that. So I try to wake up every day between 5 and 5:30. I try to get some sort of exercise in by around 6:30. I will try to spend at least 15 minutes doing some sort of meditating just to kind of get my head right for the day, affirmations or whatever. And then whenever I'm into the office, I'm there by 9:30. I make new contacts. So I make new calls, reaching out to people, new leads. Then until 10:30, I will study the market, what's sold, what's now available. I'll do that for about an hour. Then I reach out to my current buyers and update them on what's going on. And then I try to set my appointments for noon and after, because I like to have my day the same. I like to have that uniform time in the beginning of the day. So I try as best as I can to push appointments to maybe 11:30, noon and beyond. And that's what I try to do every day.
That's smart.
Impressive. So within this, do you have what's your CRM, or how do you keep track of all these people, new clients, old clients, leads? Do you have something that works for you, or, what is it?
We have a CRM right now. We're using Real Geeks. I've never loved the CRM. I think some people swear by the CRMs. I've worked with some agents who have an Excel spreadsheet and that's it. I think just as long as, I think you do have to have a CRM. Me personally, when I hang up with someone and I set an appointment, I just make the next appointment to reach out to them on my calendar. So I think some CRMs are overcomplicated. Real Geeks is fine, but that is what I use. I do use a CRM.
So you are using Real Geeks, or you're not?
I am.
You are? I mean, that's a question we ask everybody on the show. And the theme is the best CRM is the one that you're going to use. And to your point, there are agents that will use an Excel spreadsheet, a Word document, and there's a plethora of CRMs out there, but it's the one that you're going to use. And it sounds like you use your calendar a lot too, as far as you make an appointment with the person or hang up on the phone, and then you immediately put them back in like a week from today on a Friday to call that client back.
Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of like a two-pronged thing, because I definitely need Real Geeks. I need Real Geeks to have, on the back end, all my notes and everything, but I put the notes in my person's contact as well. So if I have someone who I just met at my open house on Saturday, I'm putting, Brent Jackson, open house 422, 8061, Catalonia, and then I'm listing I'm a copious note taker, which it makes you look so impressive so easily, just because, I go in my notes and say, hey, congratulations, I saw your daughter just graduated from West Virginia. And they think I care. No, I mean, I do.
You had me going there. Does someone really graduate from West Virginia? That's like my home state there.
I know. I just said that because I thought
okay.
like it.
Well, you've done your research here. I see. I like that you set, the morning, you kind of block it out for those, daily activities, because what I find is that, at the end of the day, this is a business where, you think your day is going to look like that. And then by noon, you have an email here, somebody wants to see this, and you listen. So it's all scrambled up, and it's very challenging to sort of keep those important income producing activity or prospecting in there daily. And so by what you're doing, particularly in the morning, which I think is great, because that's when most real estate agents are still asleep, or they're showing up at the gym, at noon, because they have that flexibility. So the emails start later in the day, in my experience at least, or the client, it's after 5 when he gets off of work, all of a sudden he wants to, oh my God, I'm on Redfin, or I'm on this, and I'm seeing all these listings. And that's when I like that you keep that structure, because I think that's definitely helpful.
So funny story, this morning, I saw this meme, and I try not to be on social media before I start my day, because, I mean, if someone passed away, or, I mean, that's a really harsh example. I shouldn't have said that. But, depending on what I see, I don't want that to really dictate how I feel that day. So I try to stay off social media, but everybody has those exceptions. And this morning I saw this meme that said, doesn't want to work for a boss, becomes a realtor, still hates boss.
I saw it too at the gym, actually, and I laughed so loud.
I thought that was so funny, because I hate when agents come to me and they say, number one, I really want to be a luxury realtor. I'm like, yeah, everybody does. And then 2, they say, I just really want to be a realtor because I can make my own hours. And it's like, actually, no, you're more strict with you have to be more strict with your hours, because when I'm working for a grocery store and I have to be clocked in by 9:30, it's their grocery store. I'm not making money, so I don't really care. I mean, I would care less. It's not that I don't care, but when it's your own business, you, like Brent said on a podcast recently, you're the one that's responsible. You can't, that drive, you either have it or you don't. So yeah, you can set your own hours. Yeah, you can be a realtor and work 2 hours a day starting at noon. Okay, you're probably going to miss a lot of clients who wake up at 7:30, but do your thing.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you guys do for clients? Are you sending them monthly letters, flyers? Do you guys have holiday parties or client parties?
So I feel like I've done so much of that. I was talking with my mom the other day. She's had a couple that will come to her client appreciation party, and she'll spend thousands on these parties, and then they come, get drunk, and then buy a house with another realtor. I think events work, but I really just try to, when I reach out to somebody, I don't want it to be fluff. Like I said, I used to love the newsletters and stuff like that, and I still do all of that, but I really try to focus on reaching out to people with something valuable. So the last 7 to 10 deals that we put together were off market properties. So if I'm making calls and we have someone who's going to sell their house, I want to reach out with something really valuable. I don't want to just say, hey, good morning, happy Easter, just checking in on your family. I mean, every realtor I feel is doing that, but I think it just makes it so much better when you can say, something to be a resource to them. So
Right.
I do touch base with all the other stuff, the emails and the texts and all of that, but definitely I try to make it personal too with like some texts.
Mm-hmm. So you're adding value to them. It's like you're not just sitting there. And I think that that's so important because, as you said, we all get those. I get them from lenders all the time. It's like come July 4th, I get 10 of the same lenders from the same firm, and it's like, hey, happy July 4th. And I'm like, delete. It's almost but adding value or making it personal, making it that connection is so important.
The last thing that I want to do on July 4th is be around a bunch of other realtors
Right.
at a title company or lender sponsored event. It's like, no, save that money for like a closing gift for our client if we get that far. I'm not coming to eat hot dogs with you on July 4th.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We are with Deven Lee with Grand Dune Properties in South Carolina. Deven, let's switch gears a little bit here and kind of go into the Myrtle Beach market. Like, can you tell us how it's evolved over the last couple of years? I mean, we've seen here our waterfront market up in Annapolis down to Middleburg and horse country has exploded because of the pandemic. Has Myrtle Beach seen the same explosion during the pandemic?
Absolutely. So I think there were two things that happened in early COVID stages. Number one, people were able to work from home. They were leaving their brick and mortar, which was huge because if they had the chance to leave an area with high taxes, high crime, whatever it may be, and move to a place where they could get out and be in the fresh air or whatever, closer to family, whatever was driving them, they were doing that. And also, in Myrtle Beach, where we are a beautiful beach, we have, give or take a few days, about 230 days of sunny weather every year. So at the beginning of COVID, there were waterway lots on the Intercoastal Waterway that were listed around like 100, 150,000. Those are now trading for anywhere from 400 to, in some nicer communities, in the 800s. So I think we absolutely had an explosion of business from people coming down here from the Northeast. That were able to relocate or had their mind on retiring for quite some time, and then COVID kind of pushed them in that direction. And like you said earlier, we were joking about the water view. That's huge. I mean, they're building new communities, and there are existing communities that are surrounding water on the ocean front, on the Intercoastal Waterway down here, and those are wildly popular, especially since COVID. And huge backyards. I mean, people in Myrtle Beach, you could be in a house in $450,000 price range community, and half the people there have pools. It's not really as much of a luxury here. A lot of people have pools in their backyard, and it's just something nice to be able to enjoy. And I think COVID brought people down here in droves because of that.
Is there a way to, I'm ignorant in this aspect. Is there, can you get a private beach? Like, can you get a house and the beach in front of it is owned by you?
Well, no, not really.
Okay.
Not here, not in Myrtle Beach. So
I figured.
That was a short answer. No.
For you, no.
But there's the price for everything. I'm sure maybe the city of Myrtle Beach maybe would give you a piece of beach.
I'll pull some strings.
There you go. Thank you.
So who is the buyer profile coming down there? I mean, is it, you mentioned people selling their luxury place to move closer to the water or vice versa, but is it people that are living there year round, or is it like a second home or a vacation home or an investment property?
So I have probably 8 of my 10 buyers right now are relocating, slowly transitioning down here. They've been coming to Myrtle Beach for a very long time. They might have a condo here, but they're looking to buy something for themselves. I do have investor clients, but the majority of my buyers are looking for a place to buy now and to slowly transition into their retirement years down here. I mean, people talk about interest rates all the time. I don't really have to, I'm not really affected by them whatsoever. I mean, most of my clients are cash buyers. They've either sold their business up north or plan to do so, and are cash heavy when they come down here. They know what they want because they've been coming here for several years. And it's really just my job to either find it for them or to put that deal together and see who's willing to sell.
What other markets are these buyers looking at? So, I mean, are they looking only at Myrtle Beach, or they're like, let me also look up here at Outer Banks and see if there's a place up here, or there's what the Carolina beaches. So what other markets are these buyers looking into?
So, a good thing that happened with COVID was a ton of people that were looking in Myrtle Beach and Charleston, like Charleston, Hilton Head, areas that are about 100 miles from us. They were getting priced out of those areas. So there's still so much value in Myrtle Beach. People that are looking here versus Florida, or here versus other parts of South Carolina, typically they find much more value in Myrtle Beach, and their dollar takes them much further here. $1 million gets you much more here than what it would in Charleston. But when people are coming here, typically they're looking. Some people are searching between us and Florida. I've lost a couple buyers because they wanted to go to Florida. But typically, if they're looking in South Carolina, they're looking mostly within like a 2-hour radius of Myrtle Beach.
Is that an area that you service 2 hours away?
No.
So you're going to you're niched to pretty much the dunes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm niched to the dunes. We have, towards the border of North Carolina, it's really beautiful. I mean, I know I'm a little biased, but the Grand Strand in its entirety, when I say the Grand Strand, I'm talking about Little River, South Carolina, which is right on the border of North and South Carolina, all the way down to, I say, like Surfside Beach, South Carolina, Pawleys Island, South Carolina, which is probably like an hour south of where I am now. And I do service all those, that area. But it's once it gets to like the Charleston market and past Pawleys, it's kind of out of my sphere.
I'm assuming that like any other beach town, maybe the winter is slower in Myrtle Beach, or is it a year-round full activity?
I'd say we have snowbirds. We have the people that come to the beach in the winter specifically because they don't want to be here in the heat. They don't want to be here when it's super crowded. We stay steady, but the summers are busy with new people coming down. My people that have been looking or are looking from Pennsylvania or Massachusetts, they're coming down all year long. But I definitely am showing more property in the summer. But there are still people here looking in the winter months as well.
That's kind of the opposite from DC. Yes. We are fall and spring, and then come end of June, really, it's sort of crickets. Yeah. Except for a few people here and there, but August, forget it. I mean, but we're government based, so schools are out, government's out, and all of that good stuff. So did you feel that we had to slow down here a little bit in the fall and winter of 2022? So last fall and winter, the rates went higher, and things, buyers were not quite ready to digest those new rates, and we had a halt, I would say. I mean, it was very slow, and now we're back to I just wrote on something in Bethesda. It was 6 offers. We escalated 100 over. That was not enough. No contingencies. Did that happen in Myrtle Beach versus fall winter of 2022 and now, or what's going on?
Yeah, the end of last year, I'd say around August, for me, it did. This is just for me personally. I did see a little bit of a pullback. I think that people there was just too much uncertainty. But I'm seeing the same thing. I mean, the multiple offers are coming back. I have multiple offers on the condo that I listed yesterday. And it's, I mean, basically, if they're like the few factors, meaning a water view or some sort of a view or a really dynamic backyard or that third garage bay or whatever it is that's really bringing people in to the properties that I'm selling, we've definitely had multiple offers as recent as like a week ago. And that doesn't always happen, but I will say things have started ramping back up again.
Yeah, I think I went to Inman in January, and one of the keynote speakers said this, and I've told it to everybody that asked. But it's like buyers went on strike in the fall. It's like they weren't buying, so they just essentially left the market, and that rings true for a lot of people across the nation, right? It wasn't like Devin and Myrtle Beach or Mattia and Brent here in Washington D.C. I mean, that was kind of nationally felt, and these are like top producing agents. It's just buyers stopped buying properties in the fall for whatever reason, rates or uncertainty of the markets. So
I saw that too.
So a big sort of topic here in the DMV, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area is off-market properties. The use are coming soon, selling off-market. Recently, well, not recently, it's been a while now, we've had some new regulations that sort of try to even out the market for everybody and make it sort of fair. But this is causing,
I guess you don't like that.
Yeah, this is causing, it's very challenging to show off-market properties. Some agents will stick by the rules, some don't. Some will let you in before market or in coming soon, some don't. And it's almost kind of backfiring the way I personally see it. Are the rules there? You mentioned off-market is particularly very common for you. So what's going on there with that?
So we've had to definitely get more, trying to think. We've had to change the way that we talk about off-market properties. So we've been fined a couple times by other realtors who will say something. Basically, what we do here is if I'm listing a property on a Tuesday, I'll have my photography done over the weekend. As soon as I get that back, I start running a marketing campaign on Monday for 24 hours. And from the second that hits Facebook or wherever I've blasted it out, I have 24 hours to have that live in the MLS. And there are other realtors that are watching the clock and saying, okay, it's been 24 hours and 5 minutes. You're going to pay this fine. And then I pay the fine and then I sell the house. But
what is the fine? Curious.
Like $200.
Oh, that's nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing.
So we have the similar, but here it could be up to $5,000 for the fine for the first offense. Yeah. So it's a little bit. If it was 200, we would.
That's a parking ticket. That's parking in front of a fire hydrant.
But 5,000 makes you sort of think,
Yeah.
But we have this similar rule, I guess. That's pretty much it. We have to be in the MLS, or the sign. If there's a sign in the property, it better be coming soon in the MLS within 24 hours, or else there's some agents that I guess have a lot of free time on their hands, and they just want to go around and have people get fined, and maybe they should do income producing activities.
Yeah, maybe they should be setting reminders to call leads instead of call the MLS board. But
right.
Well, I think that's also a byproduct of success, right? Because you guys are successful, you're the top of your cream of the crop in the Dunes market. So it's like, I'm sure that agent probably didn't get the listing or whatnot. So it's like, I'm going to show them if they put that out too early.
Yeah. And I mean, truthfully, we still do a ton of off-market deals, but the deals are where the market that we work within is very small, and I have the advantage of Jason, who I work with, who has such a deep relationship with the people that live in this area that they will call him and say, hey, I've been thinking about selling. What do you think I could get for it? Could you maybe float it out to a couple people? And those we aren't even hitting Facebook. Those are just conversations where he has a conversation with a potential seller. I call my potential buyer or someone who's been looking, and we make it work that way. Or because they know that we do so much in this market, other agents will say to us, hey, we have a seller who wants, to see what they could get for their home. If you want your people to come in and take a look at it. And those, when the other agents are involved and when they've been gracious enough to bring us in on it, one of my buyers, then those we don't say anything on the internet about the coming soon or any off market, none of that, because that would be bad.
Staying on top of market trends down there, here in DC, we have Urban Turf, a couple other blog sites. Is there a go-to site that you go to for up-and-coming developments or what's going on with the current market conditions?
No, I mean, Myrtle Beach is pretty small. I mean, we have a population of around like 30,000. So it really word of mouth a lot. I mean, There are, a few blogs, newsletters, things that I check every now and then, but most of the time it's just, getting a developer on the phone and asking him what he has coming.
Interesting. Any memorable or crazy experiences selling real estate? It doesn't have to be in Myrtle Beach, but sort of what's the craziest? Or
Closing day and a hurricane's coming through.
Yeah, something crazy like that, or like
Brent talking about traffic and hurricanes. We don't have that in Myrtle Beach.
Or their boat got untied and like is now in the middle of the ocean.
You know what? I was telling my mom this morning. I was so excited to do this, and I said it's just so funny because one of my favorite parts about being a realtor is meeting people, yes, but meeting just absolutely unhinged, deranged people they're real people. They're out there, they're buyers, and they're sellers. And I don't even know. There's so many stories. It's like you walk into a house, you don't know someone from Adam, and then 10 minutes later they're telling you about the infidelity that their husband committed 10 years ago with a babysitter, and they're sitting in the middle of the floor, and you're like, okay. But I would say a good.
Did that really happen?
Things like.
Oh wow.
Yes. To answer your question, I'll say the coolest. I'll make it a cool story, not a weirdo story, because I have too many weirdo stories. But a cool story is when I moved to Myrtle Beach. I was, like I said earlier, I was born here, but I didn't grow up here. So it's not like I had my childhood friends to reconnect with. And I don't even really know if people do that, like reconnect with their best friends when they move back to an area. But nevertheless, when I moved back, I joined a bunch of groups, like nonprofit organizations and local little community groups for, volunteering or whatever. So I joined the Women's Club of Myrtle Beach. And I just wanted to meet people. I just wanted to get out there and volunteer or whatever, and just have something to do. And the president of the club, Susie, she's no longer the president of that club, but I was there, and I'm probably the youngest person in the group by like 20 years. And Susie came to me after, I've been affiliated with the Women's Club for over a year, and she sat me down, and I really thought it was going to be because she wanted to. I thought she was going to tell me that she knew somebody that wanted to be a realtor. So she's like, "Hey, let's get brunch." And I was like, "Okay, well, we're friends. Like, what is this about?" She said, "It's about real estate." And I'm like, "Oh boy." So we sit down, and she told me that she had just inherited a large amount of money, and that she wanted me to be her realtor moving forward. And from that meeting, we've transacted about 6 different deals. And she is one of my closest friends now. She was a friend before, but that was just such a cool story because one thing that I don't try to do is put myself in like a Pilates class or a social setting trying to promote being a realtor, because I just think that it's best to just be a good realtor and then present yourself that way. So I certainly was not in the club to try to hand out business cards. But when we had that meeting, it was very incredible. And what has come to fruition since then has been awesome too. So that's one of my favorite stories.
That's an awesome story. True success. I mean, you're doing it for the right reasons, and it's whatever the cause is, not to get business. That's a great story.
Yeah.
So sell us on Myrtle Beach. Like, why Myrtle Beach versus Miami Beach or Nantucket? Like, why are we going to Miami Beach? We're looking for investment properties.
Weather. Like I said, we have beautiful weather almost year round. I mean, you could lay out on the beach in as late as October. Our country club at Grand Dunes, the Ocean Club, is open until the end of October, and people are out there laying out until then. Taxes are incredibly low here. As a primary resident, you're looking at around $350 for every $100,000 in a purchase price. So just crazy low compared to other parts of the country. And our beaches are clean. They're beautiful. We don't have rocks on our beaches. Anyone that has never been to South Carolina, never been to Myrtle Beach, I would definitely welcome you to look at a photo or just search Myrtle Beach versus, I love Florida beaches. I grew up down there, so I've been to Miami and Jacksonville and all of those other Florida beaches. But we don't have rocky beaches. We have a very wide walking area on the beach, even at like a high tide time. So I'd say it's a combination of a ton of value, low taxes, good weather, beautiful beaches, and especially in the Grand Dunes area where I primarily work, there's still a lot of room to run as far as the value and pricing of homes. So in the early 2000s, like 2006, 2007, there were homes here that reached a peak that we have not yet gotten back to. So when I say there's a lot of room to run, that's what I mean there, where, back in the day, there were lots on the Intercoastal Waterway that were selling for $1 million. So now for them to be priced in the 800s, people might say, wow, 800, 850 for a lot, that's insane. Well, there is still room to run. So there's still value. You pick it up here, and one day I believe they will get back to that $1 million price point.
All of that, you didn't mention the golf courses?
Oh, I don't know.
Like the golf capital of the world.
I know, and golf.
And golf.
All right, I'm sold. I'll be there next weekend.
You
I
golf,
hope you're ready. What was that?
You golf?
No, I don't golf. I mean, I've never attempted. I don't know. Maybe I'm secretly amazing at it. I don't know about it, but I doubt. I swim though, so I would enjoy Myrtle Beach and
swim
the
in the
pools.
ocean with the jellyfish.
Brett.
Every beach has jellyfish.
Right.
I'm afraid to go to the ocean.
No
because of
sharks
jellyfish.
though, there,
I don't
right?
think there's any sharks.
Okay,
Sometimes?
there was a shark that just washed. There was a great white that just washed ashore.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sure Brent planted it right before the podcast.
Is that serious? Like there's a great white on the Myrtle Beach?
Yes.
I have to go back and Google this.
240 days of sunshine.
Yeah, back to those important.
Golf.
So, Deven, you seem like you are so put together, and I know you, so I know that you're constantly reassessing yourself and constantly trying to find ways to make yourself better. Looking ahead, what's your next step here? What's your what do you want to bring yourself to the next level? Like, what's your opportunity of growth that you think you could benefit from in your future career?
I think that it's kind of what I was saying earlier about us growing a team. I think it's a little scary. I feel blessed to be in a situation where I am at the top, of my team structure and where it would be. So we are kind of like a Rob and Brent. So I think that it's scary. It's a little scary to think, okay, how am I going to find someone who has the drive to be the next person on our team? But I think that, all signs point to that. It's like if and I will say this, there's a little bit of, there's a little bit of pride that comes with doing the volume that we've done with only being a 2-person team. But at the same time, there's nothing that could go wrong with having a third person who brings in an extra 10 million or brings in another 5 million or whatever it may be to the group. So I think that all signs lead to growing a team and then letting that be the next step, and then just kind of letting things happen from there.
Are your parents are your parents local in Myrtle Beach, or they're in Florida?
So my parents are in Myrtle Beach. My mom works with Remax. My dad works with a local custom home builder, Nations Homes. So they're both still actively selling real estate.
And I guess this is down the road too. I'm just thinking some of the past guests we've had about like legacy agents. Is there a play down the road where, your mom's retired, dad's retired, and they're referring all the business back to you?
It's so funny because I could see people saying that, but my mom, if you've ever met my mom, my dad turns 70 on Saturday, and my dad, he will sit at the model, and, he's always worked with the custom home. So it's not like he's out there, really struggling to make a dime. He has he's in a pretty good situation. I don't think my mom will ever retire. I mean, she takes so many referrals, and she truly loves, she has a teaching background. She truly loves teaching people. Makes me crazy. But I think I would see, instead of my mom referring people to me, I would see it more as like, we grow a team of 10 people. My mom is on the team. I mean, she's not going to be doing, 40 sales a year like what she's doing right now, but I don't see her ever retiring. I see her maybe like slowly transitioning out. I used to think one day I'd make enough money to where they would both not work, but I don't think that they're ever going to stop working. So yeah.
Your paths ever cross, whether you're representing a buyer with your dad or you're up against your mom on a listing presentation?
My mom is so funny because she's so by the book. I mean, my mom has been selling real estate for as long as she has, and if there's a class or something, she'll go. And I love that about her. She's always learning. She's always, wanting to learn, open to learning. And there have been situations where I've had a buyer and I'd go to her and say, hey, I saw you just got, 8054, Monaco Circle pending. What would it go for? And she would say, Deven, I'm not going to tell you that, but it closes on April 29th and you'll see. I'm like, oh my
gosh.
You're my mom. But yeah.
She's not paying that $200 fine, is she?
Yeah, no. She's like, Deven, you'll find out. I'll tell you the day of closing. I'm like, damn. But that will happen every now and then. And I have had deals like put together with my dad and his company. So that's cool.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's all the questions that we have. I don't know if Mativ, you have any other questions or anything we didn't go over that you want to discuss here on the podcast?
No, not really. I miss you guys. I'm happy that you invited me to be on here. I love seeing you.
We're glad you could be here. But we do have rapid fire. So we have 5 simple and easy questions before we depart our time here on the podcast. Are you ready?
I hope so.
All right, here we go. What book are you currently reading or would you recommend to our listeners?
Unreasonable Hospitality. It's a great book.
What is it about?
It's about customer service and what it really takes to serve the top tier client.
Very good. What is your favorite after-hour drink?
Tequila.
What kind?
Just straight tequila?
Tequila water lime. That's my drink.
Okay.
Really, really skinny margarita is what I call it. Yeah. I like silver tequila. I like Clase Azul too. I like Reposado.
Nice.
So it's tequila and like actual water in the lime?
Yeah. They get it wrong in loud bars, but just water.
You'd rather have coffee with Reese Witherspoon or Kate Hudson? Or neither?
Reese Witherspoon for sure. Elle Woods. Reese Witherspoon.
Elle Woods. Sweet home Alabama too. Who would play you in a movie?
Oh, God. My favorite actress is Viola Davis, but I don't think that she would want to play me. I don't know. If it has to be someone who looks like me.
No, I think it could be like I feel like Viola Davis, she's like determined like you. She would be like a good one.
She's way better than me. Somebody
very
that was
successful.
Maybe an Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, maybe Angelina.
Not for looks, I could see.
If she put on maybe like 75 pounds. Yeah, Angelina, let's go with that.
Last question here. You're driving to your next showing. This song comes on the radio. You turn it up and start singing as loud as you can.
Oh my God. I listen to a lot of rap, so I don't want to say anything inappropriate here. Let's say
some Dr. Dre from the Chronic era.
Yeah, something like maybe like Who's That Girl by Eve. That's so lame. I don't know. Maybe
that works.
Yeah, maybe some Kanye West.
So you're a lot younger than me, but like, what about Tupac? Like, he's got some good songs.
Is that your favorite musician, Brent?
No. I'm Justin Timberlake and Michael Jackson. I like the high tenor guys.
I love Michael Jackson.
Yes.
Maybe some Michael Jackson would be in there too.
Yeah, Man in the Mirror.
Yeah.
So Deven, thank you for joining us from Myrtle Beach. It's been I love Myrtle Beach, and it's great having you on here, and I loved hearing all your success stories.
Yes, thank you, Deven.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Have a good week. Bye.
You too.
Thanks for listening to Keyed In with your hosts, Max and Brent, unlocking the minds of the industry's top real estate professionals. For more information on selling your home, find us online at keyedinpodcast.com. Remember to subscribe to Keyed In on Apple Podcasts or wherever you like to listen to podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at Keyed In Podcast, at Rabin Max, and at Brent E. Jackson. And follow Max on TikTok at MaxwellRabin_properties.